Okay, so the title of my talk today is... Oops, sorry, you did it before me. Where are you looking? It's pretty simple, right? I could walk off the stage right now. If you just ask yourself that question, Tiffany, right? Where are you looking? I mean, where are we looking? What are we looking at? Because it's so simple what we teach, this quantum physics, quantum metaphysics. What you focus on expands. It's that simple. So, where are you looking? What are you choosing to expand in your life? Because where you look takes your experience of life in that direction. But I love what my son just said, because what he said was, we can't be afraid to look at what's going on, to take it all in. This is not about turn your TVs off, turn all your devices off, and ignore everything that's going on in the world. You can't do that. People do that in their own bodies. That's how they get sick. They don't pay attention. They pretend nothing's bothering them. And so they wait and wait and wait, and suddenly they explode or they implode. So it really is about asking yourself, where are you looking and what are you doing about it? What are you doing about what you're seeing? Are you just kvetching? For you non-Jews, that's complaining. Are you just complaining about what's going on in the world, or are you actually doing something about it for yourself? So, question, where have you been looking? So William James said this: a great many people think they are thinking when they are merely rearranging their prejudices. Right? Are you really looking? The song is called Look Up. Are you really looking at all the good that there is to see? Or are you just living with your already established premises and decisions and ideas and just rearranging them as you go through life? Oh, I'll pull this one out. This one works for Reverend Nancy. Oh, this one works for Kirby. This one works for Christy. I'll just pull out something I've thought before and think it again. Frankly, we get caught in that kind of a mindset where we just, as he says, rearranging our prejudice, rearranging our opinions, rearranging our judgments, being closed at the top, not open at the top. Even when it comes to religion. You know, we in this country, we are going through a time where we are seeing the very first prosecution of an ex-president. Never happened before. So that becomes this gigantic thing as opposed to, all right, this happened. Now what? What can I know? What do I see? Can I see this from a purely impersonal, impartial, non-judgmental way and actually watch and listen and pay attention and maybe learn something? Or am I just going to sit in judgment, having made my decision and just waiting for them to agree with me? And most of you said, yeah. Because you get it. That is how we're living. That's the lives we're living in. And we want to see why we have the problems we have, because we all have them. We're all set in our ways. But the ways you are set in, the more you watch them, the more you agree with them, the more of that you get. So unless you're like 100% happy with your life and happy with the world and happy with everything that's going on, and you're in a state of absolute bliss, you might want to listen to this today. And I know people say to me, no, I'm good, I'm happy with the way my life is going. I get that. But it's possible we need to look a little higher. The song is Look Up, right? So possibly we need to really get it that we're at choice. You're actually at choice. Nothing's happening in the world around you that you are not in choice about. Now, you may disagree with me. You may say, no, I didn't do this. This didn't happen. Well, guess what? You are part of the infinite field of pure creativity and energy. That's what we teach. You all seem to believe that because you keep coming back. So we all agree with this science of mind, saying we are one mind, one energy, one life, one God, one truth. If that's what we are, I've created everything. It's all a part of what I am a part of. And so if it is, my job then is not to complain about it, blame about it. My job is to do something about it within myself. So look up, you're a choice. You do not have to keep seeing what you don't want to see. Now just let that land for a second. You do not have to keep seeing what you don't want to see. Because there's always something else to look at. And there's also, as Will just said, another way to look at it. It's very possible we have been looking at the same pictures for way too long and not seeing what's really in the picture. Because we've already made a choice about it, a decision about it, a judgment about it. So when we look at it, I already see it. Really, did you ever notice? Kevin said to me yesterday, we drove to see a play yesterday, a new musical. And Kevin said to me, Kevin, we had our own opinions about the musical that we saw yesterday, and they were pretty much in sync. But Kevin had such a hard time with the set, which I did not. I was like, oh, I thought it was pretty. He goes, did you see that tree trunk up on the top of the set that went nowhere, did nothing, no one mentioned it? What was it doing there? And I said, I didn't see it. But he did, right? You saw that. And then I tried to explain what I thought they were probably doing, and then I was realizing, why am I trying to justify a piece of tree that I didn't even see? Because we get brought into these stories and these energies, right? And so we try to make sense out of it, as opposed to, look up. Is that the right key, even close? Look up, right. So that's what today is all about, and I'm so grateful that you showed me that song. Because I get caught, don't you all? I get caught looking at things I don't want to look at. I get caught at looking at my own self in ways I don't want to look at me. And yet, I have so much proof for why I can look at that. Don't you all? Don't you all have the reasons why there are things about yourself you don't like? Right? What if there was nothing about yourself that you didn't like? What if that were the case? Boring? Did you just say boring? It would be exciting if you loved everything about yourself. I would find that exciting. You would find it annoying. I have a quote for you later about that. So there's a line in the song that says, trouble's always going to be there. Right? Now, in my earlier days as a minister, I would have to say I disagree with that. I'd have to say that's not the truth. Trouble's not always going to be there. I'm not going to put that into my mindset. I'm not going to create a life where trouble's always going to be there. But you know what? I've grown up. This teaching has grown up. And trouble is always going to be there because what is trouble? Trouble is what the human mind creates for itself. I just don't sense in my lifetime that every human mind is going to stop creating trouble. So trouble is always going to be there. That's a relative fact. It's not an absolute fact. It's not a spiritual truth, but it's a fact. Trouble's always going to be there. Look up. Don't get in the dirt with it. Don't get involved in it, except if you want to turn it around, because that's the important part of this whole thing. So Ernest Holmes says this. He says, we should be able to look at a wrong condition with the knowledge we can change it. I think I'm catching your sniffles. Makes me cry. We should be able to look at a wrong condition with the knowledge we can change it, not with the knowledge that it's changing us. Because that's unfortunately how we mostly look. This has affected me. You did this to me. This is doing this to me. This is happening in my country, and it's ruining my country on both sides of that equation. All of it's blaming. But as Ernest Holmes says, it doesn't mean turn away from it. And those of you that remember the quote, in treatment, turn entirely away from the condition, please look at the first two words of that sentence, in treatment. Ernest Holmes does not suggest, and I don't care who teaches it, I don't care what church still gets it wrong, we don't. He did not mean we turn away from all condition at all times. He meant see what's going on and then know the truth about it. And then look up. Once you get it, once you understand it, once you know what's going on, and not the relative facts of what's going on, once you know what's going on because you know the spiritual truth. And he says this too. He says, that which we look upon is real while we look at it, but we must see through it to the cause. We get stopped at what's real. This is real. This is really happening to me. I remember when the doctor told me I had stage 4 cancer, and I laughed, and he thought that I had not heard him. He was like, I just said it's stage 4 cancer. I said, I know. He said, well, we have a lot to do right now. I said, I know. I said, but it's going to be fine. I said, I did hear you. But I'm not going to react like, oh my God, because what's that doing? I am looking at it and expanding it. I expand it with my energy, with my acceptance of stage 4 cancer. And yet I'd been teaching up to that point, hangnail cancer. People called me on that when I got cancer. They were like, you still good with the hangnail cancer thing? I was like, yes, absolutely. And you know what's funny? Now I wish I had lost all my hair. Really. No, really, I wish I had lost all my hair. You know why? Because the little hair that I lost in the back of my neck came in black. And it has stayed black. And I thought, see, you didn't want to lose your hair, and you could have had a whole new head of black hair. See, sometimes, be careful what you wish for. That was my ego talking. So, look up. I came here today thinking about my own life and asking myself, what am I looking at in my life? Because Eric will tell you, Liza will tell you, Tiffany will tell you, Nancy will tell you, all of us ministers, Karen will tell you when we get up here to speak, we are mostly speaking to ourselves if we're doing our job. Because we are mostly pointing out how this teaching works in our lives. And so I was looking at my own life and I was thinking, where am I not looking up? Where am I getting caught, stuck in the trenches of living? And there were a number of points this week, there were a number of times this week where I really had to ask myself my first question, why am I here? Why am I here? What am I stuck looking at that's causing me to end up here, that's creating this part of my life? It's funny, a friend of ours called us and said, James, I'm trying to read your book, but I can't get past the first question. He said, I've been asking myself for 2 weeks, why am I here? I said, well, move on. You'll find an answer. He goes, I'm scared to death of the second question. What wants to know me? Oh my God. And I get it, but it's important. It's so important for us to be willing to do that. Aristotle said this. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Just because it has been said doesn't mean you have to believe it. Just because you've experienced it doesn't mean you have to believe it. And just because you believe it doesn't make it true. So where does that leave you? Where does that leave us? If I can't deal with experience, if I can't deal with what I've been taught, if I can't deal with what everybody's been writing all these years, what am I left with? You. An intuitive knowing that goes far deeper than anyone has ever written about. That's what Eric's 9D breath work does. It takes you out of your thinking and lets something else tap in. That's what we do every morning on Spirit Breath. We step away and just allow. That's what it's about. And you know what? All of those modalities, that's looking up. That's being willing to look up, to look and be taken by something bigger than ourselves. So I have a question for you. What could you be looking at instead of what you're looking at? What could you be looking at? Joyce, what could you be looking at instead of what else you look at? What could you look at that would change your whole perspective?
I'm looking at my future.
as a positive thing, a great future. So that's great. Using your mind to see and know a future that supports everything you want to do and be. Yes? That's a great thing to look at. Dr. Karen, you. Dr. Karen has a book coming out, a new book that is exquisite. It really, really is an amazing book. Can I say what happened?
Go right ahead.
Can I?
Yeah.
So she sent her book to a very famous person, asking them to give her a quote. And in my heart, I knew she would get a quote, but it took a long time. So it looked like that wasn't going to happen. And 3 days ago, she got the most exquisite endorsement and quote for her book from Jane Goodall. And the quote basically said, same thing I feel about the book. I mean, that Karen is going to change the world with this book. And that's pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So what could you look at? You had a chance to look at, oh, this isn't going to happen, but you didn't.
No, I didn't.
You kept thinking, nope.
Yeah.
And actually, you also said to me, whether I get the quote or not get the quote, I did my job. I sent it. That's a perspective. That's always looking up. You know, and you're not fair to ask this question to you because I believe you probably 99% of your life look up. I really do. Right, Brad?
Yes.
Because you spend your time catching up. No, both of you. So what? Tiffany?
Don't ask me.
No, really, what could you look at instead?
There's so much to look at instead. Even just when I go outside and look at the mountains versus looking at the minutia of my life, I'm looking up and looking at something bigger.
You could stay looking at your computer and all the issues that you have to deal with, or you could get up, walk outside, and look at the mountains. How's that sound? Doug, what could you look at?
That which I want to experience in the future rather than that which I'm locked into perhaps at the computer, on the news, or something.
So that's actually the answer to all of this. The question becomes, what do you want? If we are living in a world where what you focus on expands, what you think, what you believe creates your experience, the question needs to be, what do I want to experience? And then look at that. Be willing to look at that. We actually drove down to Costa Mesa to see this musical because I'm really interested. I want to watch musicals as they're being developed. As I have one that's being birthed, I want to go see what everybody else is doing. I want to go immerse myself in what I want to be doing with this musical. I could sit in my room and just look at a computer and dream about it. Dreams are nice, but they're not reality. Dreams only become real when you activate them. So what is it that you are ready to activate, that you need to look up in order to activate? So I have this slide. I love this slide. A positive attitude may not solve all your problems, but it will annoy enough people to make it worth the effort. That was for you, Tiffany. Right? I think because so many people are afraid to become Pollyanna. It's like, I can't just walk around looking at all the good stuff. I can't just walk around speaking, oh, it's all good, it's all God. No, you got to see it all, but you have to be willing to activate what you want to activate. And I just saw this quote, and I was like, this is great. Because do you know how many people I annoy? You've all been there, I'm sure, at one point or another. Not you. So I didn't see the tree branch. I was watching the actors. But it's true. A lot of people are annoyed at you being so happy, at your joy, at your success. And some people, they dim themselves to fit other people's ideas, other people's perspectives, judgments. Not anymore. Not anymore. So that's Herm Albright. And this, I love this slide. This is from Zig Ziglar. People often say that inspiration doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing, which is why we recommend it daily. So, so we may be to the end of this month, but I invite you to find out what inspires you and look up. I plan on watching him sing that song 1,000 times once this is recorded. I plan on watching Nancy sing her song 1,000 times because every time I do, I will be looking up. Winnie the Pooh says this. Did you ever stop to think and forget to start again? Don't get stuck in what you are looking at. It's way too easy to forget. Our job is to remember. So when he says, did you ever stop to think and then forget to start again? Did you ever get stuck in something you're looking at and forget that there's more to look at? Did you ever get stuck at the computer and forget that you can step outside and look at the mountains? Did you ever get stuck in the middle of an argument and forget that you love that person? So many illustrations I can give you for getting stuck. But our job at the end of the day, no matter what's going on, no matter what, when I remember who I am, I always remember to look up. Namaste. Thank you.